Hey, also 3.5 deals with systems of equations. So we'll start out working these by hand, and then I'll show you how to actually use the calculator to do these systems, okay? So the method we're going to use by hand is what we call solve by elimination method. All right, so in the elimination method, our first thing we want to do, we want to eliminate the variable that we choose by adding the two equations together. So we're going to eliminate the variable we choose by adding the two equations together. Now, it may be necessary to change one or both of the equations to eliminate the variable. So it may be necessary to change. Whoops, let me let one in real quick. So it may be necessary to change one or both of the equations to eliminate the variable. And you'll see in a little bit, if I do need to change an equation, I change them by multiplication. Okay, so I pick a variable I want to eliminate, and then I got to have one negative and one positive so that when they add, they cancel, and they got to be the same number. So sometimes we'll change them by doing multiplication, okay? So we'll start out with two variables with two equations. So which means after I eliminate one variable, there's going to be one variable left. So we will solve for the remaining variable. So at that point, once I solve for the remaining variable, I know one of the two variables. So what I'll know then do now, I'll back substitute the variable that I just found into either of the two original equations. So I'm going to back substitute the known variable into either of the two original equations and solve for that remaining variable. All right, so I find one, then I back substitute in, I got the other variable. So now I know both my variables. So since these are equations, remember, you can check the answer if needed. So you got two equations. So if you want to check your answer, put the two numbers you found for the two variables into either one of them original equations and check it to make sure you get a true statement. Okay. So remember, true statement means when you plug in all your answers, you get something like 5 equals 5, -7 equals -7, or something like that. Okay. All right. So once we've got our two variables, we got to write these answers as an ordered pair. Remember, ordered pair is in parentheses. You got your X value and your Y value. Okay, so two variables, we get an ordered pair. Later, when we get three variables, we call those answers an ordered triple. So it'll have like an X, Y, and a Z on those, okay? All right, y'all, so we're going to start out with one of these. So this first example, we're going to solve by elimination. So my first equation, 6x plus 9y equals a -24. The second equation they give me is 2x minus 9y equals -32. So this is the system of equations they'll give you. So I'm looking at these two equations. And remember, I eliminate variables by adding these two equations together. So the very first one, it's pretty easy to see which variable I'm going to eliminate. So y'all, if you look at the x's, if you add them, 6 and 2 give me 8 x's. But look here at these y's. You got a plus 9y and a -9y. That plus 9 and -9 will add together and cancel the y. So on this one, we're going to eliminate the y variable. And notice, we don't even have to change either one of these equations because straight like this, once I add, those are going to cancel right out. So let's add these and get rid of the y. So 6 and 2 give me 8x. Remember, the y's cancel. And on the right side, that -24 and -32 give me a -56. So notice, we eliminated the first variable. Then it says solve for the remaining variable. So y'all, at this point, we're going to solve for the x variable. So to solve that, I'm going to divide by 8 on both sides. So y'all, those 8's cancel, giving me my 1x. -56 divided by 8 gives us a -7. So we got the first variable. Then it says, hey, back substitute the variable into either of the two original equations. So my two original equations are 6x plus 9y equals -24. 2x minus 9y equals -32. So I'm just going to plug that -7 back into my first equation. So now I'm going to back substitute. I'm going to put -7 in for that x. So I got 6 times -7 plus 9y is going to equal a -24. So we're going to solve this for the y. So the first thing we want to do is multiply that 6 times -7. That's going to give me a -42 plus our 9y equals a -24. All right, so now we need to get the 9y by itself. So we'll take care of the -42 by adding 42 to both sides. Y'all notice these 42s cancel. All that's left over here is the 9y. On the right side, I got 42 and a -24. That's going to give us a positive 18. And y'all, the last step, divide both sides by 9. So the 9's cancel, making that a 1y. All right, so that's a y there. And then 18 divided by 9 gives us a 2. So if you want to, check your answer by putting the -7 in for the x and a 2 in for the y. Okay, so -7 in for the x makes that -42. 2 in for the y makes that 18. -42 plus 18 equals -24. So that checks. Now remember, in Math Lab, we got to write the answers as an ordered pair. So it's going to be the x coordinate first, which is -7. Then our y coordinate, which is 2. Now, Math Lab, sometimes they'll give you the parentheses, and sometimes they don't. So if they don't have them parentheses sitting there, make sure you put these answers in parentheses, okay? Because it got to look like an ordered pair. All right, y'all, so let me try some more of these. So we'll go to our next one. All right, same thing. We're going to solve this. So on this one, I got 11x plus 2y equals a -13. I got a 2x minus 1y equals -1. So y'all, there is our system of equations. But y'all notice, if I add the 11s, I got 13, so those don't cancel. If I add the y's, 2 and -1 gives me a 1y, so they're not canceling. So on this one, I'm going to have to change at least one of these two equations. So first, I want to pick a variable that looks the easiest to eliminate. So y'all, on this one, so if I choose the x's, I would have to find the smallest number that the 11 and 2 would go into, sort of like finding the least common denominator. So for 11 and 2, the smallest number I could change those both into would be like a 22. I'd have to make one a positive 22, one a -22. But to do that, I got to change both rows. So let's look at the y's. I got a positive 2y and a -1y. I can change the second row by multiplying all of these by a 2. That would give me a -2y here, and my y's would then cancel. So the easiest move to eliminate a variable is to go after the y's on this one. So y'all, we're going to eliminate the y. Now, to eliminate the y, what I got to do, I'm going to multiply second equation by 2. So that means we're going to come in here and put this whole thing in parentheses and multiply by a 2. Because we got to distribute the 2 to all 3 parts of this. What I'll do to one side of an equation, I got to do to the right side. So that would give me what? A 4x minus 2 times y is 2y equals 2 times -1, which is -2. So my second equation is now 4x minus 2y equals -2. So let me bring down my 2 equations now. We got 11x plus 2y equals -13. My new second equation is going to be 4x minus 2y equals -2. Now, y'all, if I add these together, I can eliminate the y variable like we wanted. So here we go. 11 plus 4 give us 15x. Our y's cancel. On the right side, -13 and -2 give us a -15. Now, the biggest mistake I get on this, when people add -13 and -2, they make it a +15. But y'all remember, when you add like signs, they keep that sign, okay? Oh, y'all look, the y got eliminated. We got one variable left. So at this point, we're going to solve for that x. And you'll see on the part where you're solving for the last variable, it's usually going to be division that you're doing. So let's divide this 15x by the 15. Divide that -15 by the 15. So 15 divided by 15 gives me 1x. -15 divided by 15 gives us a -1. So we now know the x coordinate. So now we're going to come in and back substitute. Because we know what the x is, right? So you can do the 11x plus 2y equals -13, or you can use the 2x minus y equals -1. So I'm just going to put it into this top one. So I got 11 times -1 plus 2y equals my -13. So remember, we're going to multiply first. So I get -11 plus 2y equals -13. All right, y'all, we need to get to 2y by itself. So take care of that -11. We're going to move it by adding 11 to both sides. So 11's cancel. I get my 2y equals -13 and 11 is -2. All right, y'all. So just like that 15x I divided, I got a 2y. I'm going to divide by the 2. And all these 2's cancel, giving me a 1y. Oh, look at that. -2 divided by 2 gives us a -1. So our answer on this was -1 for the x, -1 for the y. And remember, if you want to check that, put the -1 in for the x and the y. That's going to make this equal -11. This one will equal -2. -11 plus a -2 equals -13. So that checks out. So now's the point where I'm going to show y'all how to do this on your calculator. Now on the calculator, I'm going to use what we call the matrix feature. And to access this matrix on your calculator, you hit the second x -1 button. Okay, so Now, on the calculator for this equation that I just did, all we're going to do in the calculator, we put the numbers, but not the letters. So remember, I had 11x, that'll be 11. 2y will be a 2, and then it equals negative 13. That's what I'm going to put on my top row. The next row, I had 2x, so that'll be a 2. Minus y, I'll be putting in a negative 1. And then that answer was a negative 1. So what we're going to do, we're going to be pressing the second x negative 1 to get to the matrix. When I get to the matrix, I'm going to arrow over and I'm going to do the edit button. Once I hit edit button, it's going to want to know how many rows I got, times how many columns I got. So we got to tell it how many rows and columns we got so it can make enough spaces for all of our numbers. So notice I got 2 rows and I got 3 columns. So when I go to my calculator, I will be putting in a 2 and a 3. Once I put in my 2 and my 3, it'll give me the 6 spots I need for all these numbers. So y'all, let me share my TI-84 with us. All right, y'all. So remember, the first thing I said, you hit second x negative 1. Second is your blue button. And if you go down 4 buttons, you'll see an x negative 1 button. And right above it, it says matrix. So the reason we're having to use the blue button, anything that's in blue on the calculator, you would hit the blue button and then the button. So I'm going to hit the x negative 1 now. So it brings up A, B, C, D. Those are just the different matrices you could make. But y'all always use A. So remember, we're going to arrow right to edit. Once I get on edit, I'm going to hit enter. So the first thing, remember, my equation had 2 rows. So I'm going to hit 2 for the rows and enter. Then it goes to the second number. We had 3 columns. We had the X's in a column, the Y's in a column, and then the answers were in a column. So we had 3 columns. Now, once I hit enter on 3, look what it did. It put 6 spots for me to put numbers. Now, I'm just going to put those numbers in. No variables, only numbers. So that's why it's important to have these in alphabetical order when you're working them, okay? So we had 11 X's, so we would put 11, enter. And you got to hit enter after every number so that it puts it up there, okay? I had 2 Y's, so I would do 2, enter. Negative 13 was the answer of the first equation, enter. So y'all look at that top. The calculator knows that that's 11 X's, 2 Y's, equal to that negative 13. Second row, we had 2 X's, so 2, enter. Minus Y would be negative 1, enter. And then that row equaled negative 1 and enter. So all my numbers are in my matrix now. So now what we're going to do, we're going to quit this screen by hitting the blue second button and right to the right of it, the mode button. So if you see above it, it says quit. So second mode will let it quit. So y'all, here's the thing. That calculator now thinks that that matrix A is the matrix we just put into it. So what we want to do now is have this calculator solve that matrix to give us the answers. So for the second time, you're going to hit second x negative 1 so that we can pull up these matrix stuff. Since we want the calculator to do the math, we're going to arrow right and highlight the math column. And y'all, then you're going to arrow down until we find R, R, E, F. Now you got to be careful because there's a R, E, F, but hit one more and go get that R, R, E, F. This means it's going to reduce it as far as you can reduce it to give us our final answers. So when the RREF is highlighted, you're going to hit enter. Oh my God, what'd I do? All right, so there's my RREF. Now, the calculator is going to reduce it to get to the answer, but now we actually got to give it the matrix we just made. So we need to go grab that matrix A. So for the third time, you're going to hit second x negative 1. And y'all, number one now says that A is my 2x3 matrix. So since the one's highlighted for A, I'm just going to hit enter. So on your screen should now be RREF matrix A. So that's what them brackets mean around that A, that's my matrix A I just made. So y'all, to get the answers, all we're going to do is hit enter. Now, the far right column, the -1 and the -1, those are the answers, and they're going in alphabetical order. So if you look at the first row, you got 1, 0, -1. Since the 1 is in the X column, that means that X equals -1. Then you go to the second row. That 1 is in the Y column on the second row. So that means that 1Y equals -1. And y'all, if you remember a while ago, we got -1, -1 for our answer, doing it by hand. So I'm going to be practicing y'all on this calculator as I go through these examples. So first we went to the edit, said it was a 2x3, put in our numbers. Then we quit that screen. So then we quit this screen. And to do that, I hit second mode. That lets me quit. Once I quit the screen, I came back and I went to second x -1 again to get to the matrix. And that time I went over and I went to math. And then remember, from math, we went down and found RREF. And we hit enter on that. That brought RREF to my calculator screen. So then I had to go get my matrix A. So then I went to second x -1 again. And since 1 was highlighted with my A, I just hit enter. Put it on the screen. And then enter the second time, gave us the answers. So y'all, I'm going to play with some of these and then we'll play with them on that calculator so y'all can get good at that, okay? All right, so I'm going to work them by hand, and then I'll play with them on the calculator. So I'm going to do one more of the 2x3 by hand, okay? So on this one, they're giving us, whoops, let me let one in. So on this example, they're giving me 5x plus 4y equals 62. They're giving me 4x plus 5y equals 64. So y'all, this one looks like no matter what, I got 5s and 4s for both of my variables. They're all positive. So looks like I'm going to have to change at least 2 rows on this one. So since I've been eliminating the y's, I'm going to eliminate the x's on this one. But remember, it don't matter which one. You're going to do the same thing either way. So I'm just going to choose to eliminate the x. So to eliminate that x, now remember, one of these x's has to end up being negative. And then I got to find the smallest number that I can change this 5 and 4 into. The smallest number they're both factors of. So once again, it's almost like finding the least common denominator between a 5 and a 4. So y'all, let's think. Smallest number I can turn both them into. Let me see my chat. I think it's pulling up. So yes, definitely, we're going to change those to 20s. So y'all, what I'll do is I'll keep this x positive 20, and then I'll make this x negative 20. So I got to change each row. So change the top row by multiplying by 4. So that'll turn 5 times 4 gives me 20 x's. I'm going to change the bottom row by multiplying by a negative 5. So 4 times negative 5 would make this one a negative 20. So I need a positive 20 and a negative 20 for those to cancel. So y'all, the top row, we're going to take this whole thing, multiply by 4. So that's going to give me 20 x's, 16y. Woo, let's see, 62 times 4, that looks like 248. All right, bottom row, we're going to multiply this whole row by a negative 5. So that'll give me negative 20x. And y'all, that's what I needed to happen right there. Then I get a negative 25y. Woo, and then that negative 5 times 64 gives us a negative 320. So notice, sometimes like a while ago, we changed one row. This time we actually had to change 2 rows in order to get a variable to cancel. So y'all look at that. The x's are going to cancel. So 16 plus negative 25 give us a negative 9y. 248 negative 320 give me a negative 72. So since these are unlike signs, subtract the numbers. 25 minus 16 is 9. Gets the sign of the larger number. 320 minus 248 is 72. Gets the sign of the larger number. So that's how you would add unlike signs, right? Subtract and get the sign of the larger number. All right, y'all, we eliminated the x. So now solve for that y. So remember, that's a negative 9y, so we're going to divide by negative 9 on both sides. So let's see, the negative 9's turn into a positive 1y. Negative divided by negative makes that a positive 8. But notice, we know what the y variable is. So I'm going to have to back substitute now. And I'll just plug it right back into that first equation. So I'm going to put an 8 in for that y right there. So I got 5x plus 4 times 8 is going to equal 62. All right, so remember, first thing we want to do is multiply our numbers. So I get 5x plus 32 equals 62. And y'all remember, at this point, you want to move the number over and then do your dividing. So to move a positive 32, you're going to have to subtract 32. So notice my 5x comes down. The 32's cancel. On the right side, 62 minus 32 gives us a 30. All right, 5x equals 30. Divide by 5 on both sides. And you know, 5 divided by 5 makes a 1x. 30 divided by 5 gives us a 6. So let's see. Put a 6 in for the x. 5 times 6 is 30. 8 in for the y. 4 times 8 is 32. 30 plus 32 equals 62. So that checks. All right, so our answer will be like an ordered pair. We got a 6 for the x, and then we got an 8 for the y. All right, y'all, so I'm going to use this on the calculator. Now, remember, on the calculator, I'm going to put a 5, 4, 62 for the top equation here. And then I got, what, a 4, 5, 64 I'm going to put in for the bottom equation. So let me share that calculator. All right, so I'm going to clear all that off. And I'm going to clear that. Okay, now remember, first thing I'm going to do is hit second, x negative 1 to get my matrix. We're going to go over and edit. Now I'm just going to use A every time, okay? So I'm going to hit enter. It's still a 2 by 3, so hit enter on 2, enter on the 3. But now I just got to change these numbers because that's my old equation. So now we had a 5 for the first x, enter. 4 for the y, enter. 62 for that answer, enter. Going down to the next row, I had a 4 for the x, enter. 5 for the y, enter. And then 64 for that answer, enter. So now it's my new matrix for my 2 by 3. So my matrix is all in there. I'm going to quit that screen by hitting second mode. Second mode. Now, I think I hit that mode twice. Now, I got the matrix in there. Now we're going to go make it do the math. So we're going to hit second, x negative 1. Arrow over to math. From math, we're going to arrow down to find RREF. That's B on my calculator, so it should be B on most of y'all's. So I got the RREF. I'm going to hit enter. So now the calculator's saying, well, we're going to reduce this matrix for you, but you got to give me the matrix. So remember, for the third time, we're going to hit second, x negative 1. My matrix A is highlighted already, so I hit enter to bring it to the screen. And y'all, we then hit enter to get our answers. And remember, we're looking at the right column over there. And y'all look at that. I got a 6 and then an 8. So in alphabetical order, X is 6, Y is 8. What we got by hand, so now we're happy. Now this one, I'm just going to work on the calculator, but I want to see what y'all would do to this one first. So I'm still going to solve. But y'all, I got an 8x minus 9y equals 16.5. Then I got a 7y minus 2x equals a negative 6.5. Now, there's one thing I got to do to this equation before I do anything about eliminating. So what do y'all think I need to do to these? So let me see. Swap to perfect. We got to be in the right order here, y'all. I need all my X's in the column, my Y's in the column, and then my answers. So you cannot put this as it looks in that calculator. You got to rearrange that second equation. So we need this to be 8x minus 9y equals 16.5. And then I need the second one to be negative 2x plus 7y equals a negative, what's that, 6.5. Okay. Now, I will tell y'all the truth. If I was going to work this one by hand, I would probably eliminate the x's because you got an 8x here and a negative 2x. You could multiply that second row by 4 so that you got an 8x and a negative 8x. That'll cancel. So I'm just going to do this one on my calculator, though. And then I'm about to step into the 3 variables with you. So remember, on the calculator, you want an 8, negative 9, 16.5, negative 2, 7, and then a negative 6.5. And it's still 2 rows by 3 columns. All right, so clear that screen. Clear this key history. All right, so here we go. Second, x negative 1 for the matrix. Arrow over to edit. Hit enter. It's still a 2 by 3, so enter, enter. So remember, I had an 8x, so 8 enter. Negative 9y will be negative 9 enter. And then 16.5. And enter. Second row, I had a negative 2x, so negative 2 enter. 7y. But y'all, that's the biggest thing you got to do is get them things swapped around. All right, we're about to see if Hannah's right over here. And then what I got to put in, my negative 6.5. And enter. All right, so Hannah done got us what? A 1.5 and a negative 0.5. So let me quit my screen. Go get the math operation. So second, x negative 1, arrow to math, down to RREF. Enter. All right, y'all going to get the matrix now. So second, x negative 1. Enter to bring it on and enter. Oh, and y'all look at that. We did get a 1.5 for the x and a negative 0.5 for the y. So good job. So I'll tell y'all the truth. I don't mind doing them by hand, but woo, when I get decimals and a lot of stuff like that, I'm tempted to use my calculator for some of that, okay? All right, y'all, so let's turn it up now. Those systems had 2 variables. So we're now going to solve systems with 3 variables. Now, they're similar, but they're sort of different here. So the eliminate the very first variable. So to eliminate the first variable. Because remember, I'm going to have X, Y's, and Z's. So whichever variable I pick first to eliminate, here's what you got to do. First thing you got to do, you got to use two of the equations to eliminate a variable. So I'm going to have three equations. So I'm going to use two of them to eliminate a variable I pick. Now, once I've done eliminated that variable, I'll have two variables left equal to a number. But here's the kicker. I then got to use the other equation. So I'm going to use my third equation, use the other equation with either of the first two equations. So I had two equations here. I eliminated a variable. Now I take the other equation with either one of those two equations I used up here to eliminate the same variable. So if I use these two to get rid of an X, I'm going to use this one plus one of those to get rid of the X again. And then here's what's nice about this. Once I've done this twice and eliminated that variable, I'll have two equations left with two variables. So at that point, solve it as a 2x3 matrix or system. Because I'll have two variables are left in my three columns, so I can solve it as a 2x3 matrix or a system of two variables, okay? Now, on this one, you got to back substitute twice to get all three variables. So back substitute twice to get all three variables. Now, check if needed. And y'all, here's the thing on this one. You got three variables, so we're going to write these answers as an ordered triple. So ordered triple will have an X, a Y, and a Z. All right, so of course we'll do these by hand, and then I'll show you how to do these on your calculator also. So these will say the same thing, solve, or they'll say solve by elimination. So here we go, X plus Y plus a Z equals 6. 2x plus 4y plus 2z equals 10. And then my third equation is a negative x plus 8y minus 3z is going to equal a negative 21. So there's my three equations. Now, usually I'm going to label these three equations 1, 2, and 3. That way you can sort of keep up with what I'm going to do to these on my instructions, okay? So let me pull this down a little. So first of all, I got to figure out of all these variables, which variable I think will be the easiest to eliminate. So y'all, I got my X's, my Y's, and my Z's. So what do y'all think would be easiest to eliminate? And y'all, I'll tell you, I can eliminate any one of them three. So y'all pick me a variable to eliminate. All right, so yeah, I'll do the X's. How about that? We're going to eliminate the X. I'd probably pick that too, because if you look right off the bat, there's an X and a negative X. If I add them two rows, the X is gone on that one. Then we'll use the 2X with either one of these rows and get rid of that X again. So y'all, the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to add equation 1 and equation 3 to get rid of them X's. So X plus Y plus Z equals 6. Negative X plus 8Y minus 3Z equaled negative 21. So there's my row 1 and row 3. But y'all look at that. X is canceled. So 1 plus 8 gave me 9Y. 1 and negative 3 gave me negative 2Z. 6 and negative 21 give us a negative 15. So since I got a new equation, I'm just going to call that my equation 4. Okay, here's the thing. I used row 1 and 3 to get rid of the X. Now I got to use the second row in either one of these rows. So, y'all, I'm going to use the second row and the third row. But y'all got to multiply the third row by what in order to cancel those X's? There you go. We got to multiply this whole third row by a 2. Okay. So I'm going to change. I'm going to add 3 and 2 together by changing row 3. Okay, I'm going to add row 3 and 2 together. But remember, I got to change row 3 because it has a negative X, and I need to make that a negative 2X. So here's my row 2. 2X plus 4Y plus 2Z equals 10. Now, changing row 3, 2 times negative 1 gives me negative 2X. 2 times 8 gives us a 16Y. 2 times negative 3 is a negative 6Z. And then 2 times negative 21 is a negative 42. All right, y'all, let's see. The X's cancel again, so we're happy. 4 and 16 give me 20Y. 2 and negative 6 give me negative 4Z. 10 and negative 42 give me a negative 32. So that new equation will be equation 5. But y'all look, I got Y and Z here. I got Y and Z here. So we're going to put them two together now. So y'all, at this point, we now have two variables and two equations. So they're now down to the size we were solving a while ago. So between these two variables, which variable looks the easiest to eliminate? The Z's definitely. Y'all, that 9 and 20, woo. I think we'd have to turn them into like 180 and a negative 180. So that's too big of numbers. But here you got a -4 and a -2. I'm going to multiply the top equation by -2 because -2 times -2 will make that a +4. So I'm going to change top equation by multiplying by a -2. Okay. So if we take this top equation, multiply by -2, I get a -18y. I get a +4z. And then I get a negative times negative, a +30. Now my second equation stays the same. 20y minus 4z equals a -32. All right, so y'all, let's see what happens. -18 and 20 give me 2y. The z's cancel. And 2y's equals, let's see, 30 and -32 give us a -2. So guess what? We're down to one variable. Solve for the y. So to solve that for the y, we're going to divide both sides by 2. And y'all look at that. Y equals a -1. So here's the thing. I know what one of my variables is. So what I'm going to do is go to one of these two equations right here and plug that -1 in for one of those y's. That way I can solve for the z. Once I know my y and my z, then I'm going to go back to one of these equations, plug in for my y's and my z's, and solve for the x. So you back substitute into one of the two variables, then you back substitute both of those into one of the three variables, okay? All right, y'all, so let me slide to another page. So remember, we got y equals a -1 on there. So since I got y equals -1, I'm going to probably use this equation. 9y minus 2z equals -15. And I'm going to put a -1 in for that y. So we're back substituting. So that'll give me 9 times my -1 for the y minus 2z equals -15. Now, it didn't matter which equation you picked. So y'all multiply first. Make that a -9 minus 2z equals -15. Move this -9 by adding 9. So y'all look at that. I get my -2z equals, what's that, a -6. Now finally, divide by that -2, and I now know what my second variable is going to equal. So -2's give me a 1z. Now remember, negative divided by negative will make that a +3. So we know the y was -1. The z is -3. So we're going to back substitute one more time. So y'all, let me bring my three originals up. So remember, I had three equations. I know that y's and the z's now, so I'm going to get the x. So I'm going to use this equation. X plus y plus z equals 6. I'm going to put in my -1 and my 3, and let's see what happens. So x, I don't know yet. Y was a -1. My z was a +3. All that is going to equal 6. All right, so on this one, add those like terms first. So you get x, -1 plus 3 gives us a 2. So I got x plus 2 equals 6. So y'all finally, let's minus 2 from both sides. And we get x equals 4. So if you put a 4 back into that x, remember I had x plus y plus z equals 6. Well, 4 plus y, which was -1, 4 and -1 give me 3. But then that 3 plus this 3 equals 6. So that actually gave me a true statement. So my answer has to be in alphabetical order. So x was 4, y was -1, z was 3. So 4, -1, 3. Perfect. Y'all got that? So y'all must have did good on my calculator. So let me pull that thing up. Now remember on the calculator on this one, let me get my numbers real quick. Okay, so on that one on the calculator, my equations, I had 1x, 1y, 1z was 6, 2x, 4y, 2z was 10, and then -x is -1, 8y, -3 from a z equal -21. All right, so let me pull my calculator up. All right, y'all, I'm gonna clear off my old stuff. All right, so y'all, I'm gonna go to second, x -1 from my matrix. I'm gonna arrow to edit and enter. So what did y'all put for the size of this matrix? Because I got a 2x3 sitting here now. So what y'all put in for that? Okay, 3x4, perfect, because you had 3 rows. So 3 enter, and then you had 4 columns. Now, let's start putting in our numbers. We had a 1 for the x, 1 for the y, 1 for the z, and then 6, enter. Second row, you had a 2 enter, 4 enter, 2 enter, and a 10. Third row had a -1 enter, 8 enter, -3 enter, and then a -21 and enter. So all my numbers are up there. So I'm going to quit the screen by hitting second mode. Oh, Hannah, you said 3x3, but I bet you couldn't have done it. You did a 3x4, I bet. All right, y'all, here we go. Second matrix, second x -1. Go over here to math and then arrow down and get me to RREF. And enter. All right, then go get that matrix A again. So second, x negative 1, enter. And remember, right column in alphabetical order, X, Y, Z. So there we go, 4, negative 1, and 3. So you got to love those calculators. They're usually a nice, if you like doing it by hand, it's a nice way to check yourself for sure. All right, so I'm gonna do one more by hand and then also on my calculator. So y'all, here we go. 4x plus 3y plus a z is going to equal 33. X minus 3y plus 2z is going to equal negative 3. And then let's see, 11x minus 2y plus 3z is going to equal 60. All right, so I got my three equations, 1, 2, and 3. So by hand, it looks like to me, I got y's that'll cancel here. So I'm going to try to eliminate these y's on this one. But remember, any of these would work. So I'm going to eliminate the y variable. Now, another easy one would probably be the z's, because negative 2 and 2 would cancel. And then you could do a negative 3 and 3 and cancel those ones. Okay. So to eliminate the y, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to add 1 and 2. And when I add 1 and 2, I don't even have to change anything. So 4x plus 3y plus z equals 33. And then I had x minus 3y plus 2z equals negative 3. So y'all, the x is 4 and 1, give me 5x. But y'all look, the y's cancel. The z, 1 and 2, give me 3z. And then let's see, 33 and negative 3 give us a 30. So remember, this I'll call equation 4 now, because I'll have equation 4 and 5 will give me the two variable system, okay? Now, I used equation 1 and 2. So now I got to use equation 3. It's a negative 2y. So what I'm going to do, since this one's negative, I'm going to pick this positive 3y. But now I got a 3 and a 2. This one's positive, this one's negative. So what's the smallest number we can turn 3 and 2 into to eliminate those y's? So I'm going to change them into 6's. Good job. So I'm going to change 1 and 3. My row 1 and 3, okay? We're going to change both of those so that we get 6's. So if we take row 1 to make that 3y6, we're going to multiply everybody by a 2. So that gives me an 8x plus 6y plus 2z is going to equal 66. And y'all notice, I am multiplying every single thing here by that 2. Now, row 3 down here, to make that -2 into a -6, we'll multiply that whole row by a 3. So that we get 33x's minus the 6y like we needed, plus 9z, and then 60 times 3 is 180. But y'all, let's see what happens. Woo, that's giving me 41 x's. The y's canceled. I have a positive 11z, and that's going to equal 246. So that'll be my equation 5. But this one has x and z's. This one has x and z's. So that's why you want to eliminate that same variable twice, okay? So now let's put these two together. 5x plus 3z equals 30. 41x plus 11z equals, 246. All righty. What variable looks easier? Hopefully y'all don't pick the x's on this one, right? Because 5 and 41, that could be pretty big. So y'all, we're going to eliminate these z's for sure. So eliminate z. So the trick is, what's the smallest number I can turn 3 and 11 into? So 33, perfect. So we're going to change both rows. So change both rows. Now, I'll make the top one positive. So we'll multiply all of them by 11. So 11 times 5 is 55x. 11 times 3 is 33z. And then let's see, 11 times 30 gives us 330. So since I made this one a positive 33, I'm going to make this one negative 33 by multiplying by a -3. So -3 times 41 gives me a negative 123x. -3 times 11 is a -33z. -3 times 246 is a -738. But y'all look at that. 55 and -123 give you -68x. Those z's cancel. And that 330 and -738 give you a -408. Look at that. One variable left. So now we can solve for our x. So we're going to come in and divide both sides by -68. So -68 divided by -68 gives me 1x. Woo, let's see. -408 divided by -68. That's going to be a positive something. So let's see. I think I'm getting a positive 6 on that one. All right. I now know that my x is 6. So now I'm going to start back substituting. So remember, put the 6 into one of these two equations. So this one looks a little smaller. So I'm going to have my 5 times x, which is 6, plus 3z equals 30. All right, y'all, that's going to make 30 plus 3z equals 30. Cancel that 30 from both sides. Oh, and y'all look at that. That cancels, giving me 3z. Now my right side cancels, but remember, I at least need a 0 over there. And y'all look at that. Anything times this number equals 0. So let's divide by 3 on both sides. So that cancels, giving me my z. And y'all look, 0 divided by 3 is 0. So I know x is 6, z is 0. So I'm going to back substitute for the last time. Now I'm going to pick one of them top 3 equations. So I'm just going to use that very first one. Put a 6 in for the x. So 4 times 6. We don't know the y yet, but we know the z was 0. And all of this is going to equal 33. All right, 4 times 6 is 24. Plus my 3y. Well, the zero's gone, right? Because 0 added to anything, that zero's gone. And that's going to equal 33. All right, y'all, so a couple more steps. Move the 24 by subtracting. So 3y equals 9. Then y'all divide for the last step by 3. So that y equals 9 divided by 3 is 3. All right, so our ordered triple, x first, which was 6. Y next, which was 3. And then finally my z, which was 0. So y'all let me do that one on the calculator, and then we're going to play with some of our support. And Shardy, you got that perfect, 630. So let me clear this and clear my history out over here. All right, y'all, so here we go. Second, x negative 1, go to edit. So it's still a 3 by 4 because we got 3 equations with 3 variables. So y'all, this time, 4 for the x, enter. 3 for the y, enter. 1 for the z, enter. And then 33 for that answer, enter. Second row had 1 for the x, enter. Negative 3 for the y, enter. 2 for the z, enter. And then negative 3 for that answer, enter. Last row I had 11 for the x, enter. Negative 2 for the y. 3 for the z. And then 60 for that answer. And enter. So everything's entered. We're going to quit by hitting second mode. Now, go get that matrix to do that math. So second x negative 1, math, and then arrow down. So I'm looking for RREF, enter. Now go get that matrix, second x negative 1, enter, and enter. And y'all look at that right side, 6, 3, 0. So, not too bad on the calculator, like I said. Just keep up with your signs when you're putting that in there. And Make sure your numbers you're putting in are definitely what you want in there, okay? Now, I wanted to do some of this 3.6 support so that tonight, knock out your 3.5 and your 3.6 support. That way, when we come in on Thursday, we're ready for our 3.6 college algebra. So this is just your 3.6 support. And I'll do most of these 10 here, but it's just getting you used to word problems. So y'all like this number one. A number increased by 11. And then it tells me let x be the variable. So it'll tell you what letter they want you to use for the variable in MATLAB. But how could I write this, a number expressed by 11, as a algebraic expression? So y'all, here we go. We don't know that number, but they said let x represent it, right? So we're going to have our x. Oh, let me see what Hannah has there. X plus 11, perfect. Because remember, increased by means adding. So x plus 11 is how we would represent a number increased by 11. So good job. Sharta and Hannah, both of y'all got that. All right, y'all try this one. The quotient of a number and 2. Now this time they say let n be the variable. So quotient. Well, y'all, that means division. Now, the easiest way to do division in this section is the quotient of a number and 2 would be my number n divided by 2. So we want y'all to get used to doing division with the fractions, okay? Now, it might let you do n divided by 2, I think. It might let you do this kind of stuff. But usually when you're working with algebra, you want to try to avoid this and get more into this kind of division, okay? All right, y'all, this is for y'all. 24 less than some number. And then once again, use n for variable. All right, y'all, so 24 less than some number. Using the n for the variable. What you got? Jordan, you're pretty quick on that, but that's perfect. N minus 24. All right, so I'm going to skip to 5 because number 4 is pretty much like those. So let me turn it up a little bit on you. How about 32 more than twice a number? And let's see, use x for the variable. So y'all, 32 more than twice a number, you're using an x from a variable. So what would that give us? Oh, perfect. What do y'all got? 2x plus 32. Y'all perfect. Twice a number, which is x, is 2x. More than means you're adding. Perfect, y'all. All right, so now I'm going to warp up to 8 because 6 and 7 are pretty much doing those. How about this? Negative 34 multiplied by m. And y'all, remember in here, negative 34 multiplied by m, couldn't I basically just write that as a negative 34m? Because remember, when you got a number next to a variable, it's understood to be multiplication. Now, they probably take it if you did negative 34 and use the dot and then the m. But the easiest way to write that would be as a product, just putting them numbers and letters right next to each other. So y'all, let me see what y'all do to this tricky one here. This is like a little word problem. But Justin had $33 before spending T dollars on some jeans. So Justin had $33 before spending T dollars on jeans. So y'all, the question is, how much money remains? So that's on y'all. So what would y'all write to represent how much money remains for Justin? Oh man, y'all getting quick on that. 33 minus T, perfect. Because he started out with $33. He spent T dollars, so that means we're going to subtract RT dollars. And using that expression, if we knew what T was, we would know what Justin had left. All righty, y'all. My number 10, I'm going to have to use my other page here. All right, y'all. So this is the big boy for your support. The sum of two numbers is 3. Second line says 4 times the larger number plus 3 times the smaller number is 26. Then they say, hey, find the numbers. So this is getting you ready for a system of equations for the word problems tomorrow. So y'all, the sum of two numbers is 3. How could you write that as an equation? See what y'all put. X plus Y equals 3, perfect. Now, what I'm going to do, this first column I'll say is my larger numbers, and then the Y column will be my smaller numbers, and then my answers. So 4 times the larger number plus 3 times the smaller number is 26. Write out my second equation now. So Hannah, let me see if you got that one out. So 4x plus 3y equals 26. Perfect. 4 times the larger plus 3 times the smaller equals 26. So Hannah, I guess since you got me my equations, which one of those two variables do you want to eliminate? So she wants to eliminate the x. Now remember, at this time, you could do a 2x3 matrix in your calculator if you want to. All righty, so I got a 4x here. So this, I'd probably turn that into a negative 4x. So I'm just going to multiply that whole top row by negative 4. So I'm going to change the top row and then add. All right, y'all. So let's multiply through. We get a negative 4x, negative 4y, and then that's what, a negative 12. Here we had a 4x plus a 3y equals 26. So good job. The x's cancel. Negative 4 and 3 give us a negative y. Negative 12 and 26 is 14. So y'all, you got one more move because you can't keep that y negative. Remember, that's a negative 1 in front. So divide both sides by negative 1. Really, all that's happening when you divide by negative 1 is you're changing the signs. This negative divided by negative made that y positive. And then that positive divided by negative made that 14 negative. Okay, so dividing by negative changes the signs. So look at that. You got my first number. So now we're going to back substitute. So 3-6 college algebra will be more of figuring out what these word problems are asking us and setting up our systems. Now, 3.6 college algebra will have 3 variables in those equations, okay? All right, y'all, let me see. I'm going to use the first equation, x plus y. Well, my y is a negative 14. That's going to equal 3. So y'all, to solve that, I'm just going to add my 14, and I get x equals 17. So those will cancel. So here's what MATLAB's going to do. The larger number is blank. So y'all, what's your larger number? All right, so that'd be 17. And then it'll come in and say the smaller number is, and y'all, let's see, our smaller number was the negative 14. No, on this one, it won't ask for an ordered pair because you're just finding these two numbers here. So it's just going to make you put in whatever your larger number is and then the smaller number. So the word problems a lot of time, and you'll see tomorrow, Thursday, but the word problems pretty much ask you for like larger numbers, small numbers. We're going to do like a triangle with angle A, B, and C. So it'll ask us what's the measure of angle A, what's the measure of angle B, what's the measure of angle C, and so on. So the word problems are a little different, but if this was a straight up equation and it wasn't a word problem, then yes, I would actually put my answers as an ordered pair. All right, y'all. So I'm going to stop my share here. Whoops, where'd I go? All right, there we are. So I'm going to quit my Zoom recording so I don't